Hello, my friends. Can we declare this International Kindness Day? Wouldn't that be awesome? That's the kind of days, International Love Day, International Compassion Day, any day like that would be just terrific. Today's topic is about kindness, and this is a topic that has been so present in my mind for, I don't know, months on end. The how to be kind, what it means to be kind, what it does to you and others to be kind, the effect of it. And it's a really rich topic, and I've had some pretty good debates in my house about it. Interesting, because you sort of morph into love and unconditional love, those sort of things. So I want to talk a little bit about that. This may be more than one video. I'm pretty sure it will be. Today, the question that came to mind today for me is, what if kindness was a doorway? And it was a doorway to a richer life, and a more soulful life. What if that's all we had to do to have that? It'd be amazing. This morning, I was scrolling through my phone, all the social media apps and so forth. And I came across a video, and it was they call it a Karen video. So I feel bad because I have some good friends named Karen and they're not Karens, but they call it a Karen video. And basically it was this woman who was angry. She was being filmed by her neighbor. She was angry with the neighbor because he wasn't trimming his bushes to her liking, and she was going to sick her son Ben after him. And the whole interaction, as I'm watching it, I was noticing how it made me feel, and it was hitting me in my gut, like I was like feeling a tightening sensation. And I didn't like the energy that was going on. I didn't like what she was doing, but I also really didn't care for how her neighbor reacted. He wasn't mean or cruel. He wasn't yelling at her, but he also wasn't bringing to the table kindness. And because I've been studying and learning so much about kindness lately, that was really noticeable to me. And I was like, wow, I wonder how things might have changed in that whole dialogue had the neighbor been able to bring more kindness to the table. Would the outcome have been different? Because the outcome was that she remained angry. She's going to sick her son after him, and she stomped off, angry that she wasn't getting what she wanted. Most people would think, well, she's just being stupid. She's an angry woman, and you have to react to those kind of people the way that this gentleman reacted. And he did react in a way that is, I guess, quote unquote, normal. He was calm, but he was, kind of like, I felt like he was thinking what was in his head, like, well, she's being crazy. And I'm just gonna I'm not going to give in to her, but I'm not going to argue with her either. And, so it was a pretty normal reaction that he was giving. But I just wondered if something more or different could have happened. Never did I hear anyone ask this woman, are you okay? Is there, is there anything I can do for you to help you calm down or feel better about this situation outside of you demanding that I trim my bushes? It's like some sort of connection type of dialogue. They really were communicating at each other. There was no communicating with. So it just really stood out for me. And I'm like, wow, that was sort of a good example of what is happening all over the place now. These confrontational experiences that people are having out of anger, out of fear, out of defensiveness, all of those sort of energies. And what what happens when you're in those energies is they just beget more of those energies. It just keeps, it's like that ball rolling down the hill. It just picks up more and more and more until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's out of control. I want to see a world in which we are not so confrontational, where we can be kind to each other. And not everybody's going to be in that space where they start out with kindness, that they're automatically able to be in kindness. There's just a lot of pain and hurt in the world. There's another channel that I follow. I just started recently. And the first time I saw this channel, it just kind of came up on my YouTube, and there it was. And there was this man standing outside in a t-shirt that said kindness on it. So of course I was like, oh, kindness, drawn right to it. So, I decided to watch it. And he was so nice the way he spoke. And basically what he does, his name is Sean, and his channel is called Midlife Stockman. And he goes around in Michigan. He goes around, looks for lawns that are in really rough shape, either from vacant houses, and so there's neighbors nearby, but a vacant house that hasn't been cared for, or from people who are just not able, for whatever reason, to take care of their lawn. And he goes and he takes care of it for free. Usually takes him a couple of days to get through the whole thing, and he removes all the debris and everything. He mows, he trims, etc., and makes it look so much better. That part's really cool. But what's really cool about Sean in his videos is how he behaves with other people. The man is genuinely kind, what my angels would call a mammy, a genuine kindness and love for others. It's so in him, so ingrained, that he doesn't know how to behave any other way anymore. So if a homeless guy comes up to him on the sidewalk and asks for 20 cents, he hands him $20. No questions asked. He just does it. And he offers to the man, have a good day. I hope everything goes well. Occasionally there'll be neighbors that'll confront him, like, what are you doing here? What's going on? And they're upset. They don't like that he's videotaping. And his interactions every time are so genuinely kind that people always seem to step back and go, oh, okay, that's cool. I like what you're doing. And he is bringing out a model for us to follow in being kind to others. So I encourage you to go ahead and see him, and I'll put a link in the description for visiting his site. I'm on the search for channels in which people demonstrate genuine, from the heart kindness that can be shared as models for all of us. So if you do this, you look at these videos, I'll share the other link too, of the argument that the neighbors had. Look at how it makes you feel. Notice, do you feel it in your gut like I did with the Karen video? Do you feel inspired, excited from Midlife Stockman? What energies come up for you from watching those, and which ones do you want to keep having? We don't need to be in a state of angst and that sort of feeling in your gut the kind that you feel like you could get an ulcer from. We don't need to be there. We don't have to be there. We can control that just by being kind to others, and by watching out for our triggers. We have triggers that sometimes get in the way of us being kind. I know I have mine. There's certain things or tone of voice, or just what it could be for anybody. It could be smells, it'd be what they see happening. There's a lot of triggers that can happen. And then for a moment, you slip out of that kind state and you're reactionary. And whenever, like, I have those moments with my spouse, and I will react so that we end up having an argument about the stupidest thing you could ever think of. And we both walk away like, what the heck? What are we even talking about? And it was just a reaction to a trigger. That's all it was. And once I let go of that, then we're back on track and we're kind to each other. And we're loving to each other. So these are the things that we need to do. We need to know what we want, how it makes us feel, and which one we want. And we need to know what our triggers are, accept that they happen. They will happen. It's hard to avoid that. But how quickly can you move out of that trigger? The response to that trigger? How quickly can you move out of it and move forward again with kindness and love? So make this a mission for yourself, because when we accept that kindness is the gateway, we will get more kindness. We will have a life that's more abundant, peaceful, joyful, and our relationships will just naturally improve. So this is part 1 of my kindness talks, and I hope that it's also part 1 for you, that you start to think about what kindness means and how it is that gateway. Until next time, hugs, and make it a great day.